compromise your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. What's going on with you, DJ Genesis?
Hey, how's it going?
How you
So we
feeling,
have
DJ?
doing pretty good. So I hear you got some fire you wanted to like bring to the table. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you cook because
I
I guess
do.
so. I'm gonna move out the way because I got you got this presentation. I want to go ahead and let you start.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness. I say to the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here with DJ Genesis Detroit. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Put that picture up because our people, our people, our people. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Reggie from the House of Consciousness, Sinetta, House of Consciousness / Sinetta Studios. I want to give a shout out to everybody that has been giving up the journalistic news as as it pertains to who's going to become the next president, either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. And I know our people, and when I say our people, I mean who are now labeled as foundational Black Americans, African Americans. In the past were known as Negro, niggers, colored, you know, people of color, etc., etc. And I know that our people, they want freedom. I understand that. And I understand that we built a lot in the United States and we've come a long way as a people. And there has been social progress in different areas of life when it pertains to the social fabric of foundational Black Americans. But there were also standstills and also setbacks as well. But that's not the purpose of this today. Today is let the truth be told. Who is the real Kamala Devi Harris? Now, I know our people, they yearn for the first foundational Black American president, the first African American president. We haven't had one yet. And I know y'all say Barack Obama, but y'all are 100% incorrect. Barack Obama's father was from Kenya, okay? And his mother was this, she's related to the Bushes. So you have a white mother, a quote unquote white mother, and a father from Kenya. And I know our people, we have this tendency of labeling everything Black versus dealing with it really was. It was a social construct defining foundational Black Americans. So let's get to the point. Janet Jackson, I want to say rest in completeness to the late Tito Jackson. We send our condolences, to the loss of your brother, to the whole Jackson family, your brother, your uncle, your father, et cetera, because, this is a real, like, sticky moment because he just passed away when Janet Jackson was bombarded, our sister was bombarded by this East Indian reporter who tried to insert this so-called blackness into Kamala Devi Harris's genealogical record. And what did Janet Jackson say? Kamala Harris isn't black. Her dad's actually white. So then when she made that statement, it was this big, uproar. It was this backlash, from basically foundational Black Americans that are dealing with the other side of the same coin, which is labeled as the Democratic Party. And we seen Smiley, we seen DL Hughley, and I have and much respect to DL Hughley, man. And I love you, and you street approved and everything in California. We know your past. You was the man on the street. But this right here, Elder, I gotta disagree with you. You know what I mean? And I'm going to show you as I present my PowerPoint presentation. I am saying that Kamala Devi Harris is not a foundational Black American, also known as African American. Kamala Devi Harris is not a foundational West Indian Maroon, nor a foundational West Indian Coromantee, all those that are like the Akan, the Ashanti descent, etc. One of the 12 tribes of Israel that the Rastafarians identify themselves as. No, she's not that. Excuse me. I'm saying that Kamala Devi Harris's father's side of the family are Irish and East Indian, and her mother's side is East Indian. That's what I'm saying. And her father, when Kamala Devi Harris was on the Breakfast Club, she made a comment about smoking marijuana. And that was like an insult to her family name. Put Janet Jackson back up there. Put Janet Jackson back up there. I see you got the ancestors of him. Yeah, that's one of the sources. But we're going to start at the top. We're going to start at the picture before that with Hamilton Brown. But yeah, like I was saying, the father felt like she was bringing down the name of the Harrises, and he said out of his own mouth, because this is going to be the catalyst, so to say, that I start to build my foundation about Kamala Devi Harris's genealogical background. Again, this is not a slander on Kamala Devi Harris as a person, whatever. Now we can get into, as we progress, some, and I know Sister DJ Genesis is going to come in and show, how, certain things that this woman did as the head district attorney in San Francisco, and, locking up, women for truancy. One that comes to mind, we'll speak about later, when her daughter had leukemia and they still locked her up. We getting all that. But my point is, Donald Jackson Harris said that it's an insult to connect him and his family with marijuana smoking and identity politics. So he said this out of his own mouth, coming up against his daughter. And he recognized that she's using identity politics to achieve the presidency. So let's go to the first slide, shall we, of the image of the man Hamilton Brown. Hamilton Brown the first, we have right here. We know for a fact that he was an ex-plantation sugarcane slave owner. And originally in Jamaica, that's where he's at. He's of Irish descent. And originally where he was located at, they named the town Hamilton Town. And later on, they changed it to his last name, Browntown. The father's side of Kamala Devi Harris and her sister Maya Harris, father goes back to Brownstown. Okay. And I'm gonna read a
Now, I have a
quotation.
question too before we go. Now,
Yes.
okay. Now there is some speculation that there were some Black Irish, like mixed
Yeah.
Irish.
No, no. I mean, if you getting into the people that's, you know, during the Dark Ages, roughly from the 5th century to the 15th century CE, during Dark Age Europe, yes, you have original Black English nobility, Black Irish nobility, but this is not what we talking about here. We
Because he
talking
looked
about
like he could be a little like a light skinned black guy. I'm not gonna lie. He looked like he was like light skinned.
he white boy. He white boy because there's other pictures of him also, not just
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he's straight white. Nothing. She ain't getting off the hook. She can't get off the hook. We're not gonna let her get off the hook. So I want to read a quotation, right, from out of um Donald Jasser Harris's memoir called The Reflections of a Jamaican Father. And he says this. And also to get the source, you can go to www.jamaicaglobalonline.com, Kamala Harris. It says, my roots go back within my lifetime to my paternal grandmother, Miss Chrissy, or Christinia Brown, descendant of Hamilton Brown, who is on record as plantation and slave owner and founder of Brownstown, and to my maternal grandmother, Miss Iris Finnegan, farmer and educator, ancestry unknown to me. The Harris name comes from my paternal grandfather, Joseph Alexander Harris, landowner and agriculture produce exporter, mostly in spices, who died in 1939, 1 year after I was born. So stop there. So we have right here a documented record called Ancestors of Hamilton Brown, slave owner, Brownstown, Jamaica, by Diana Moore. And inside of this book, it breaks down that Hamilton, this is Hamilton Brown's own words, and how he documented over 1,100 slaves. Could you go to the next slide, please? Could you go to the next slide, Sister Genesis? Are you there? So we have right here in this same book documented records of Hamilton Brown's slaves. He documented this stuff. This is with his own handwriting. This is his own pen. See, to understand Kamala Devi Harris today and who she is as a woman, we have to understand the past. So this is Hamilton Brown, slave owner 2024. You can also go to www.clarkoutdoors.com. So we're going to deal with primary sources. Now, she just went to the, you can go to that next slide. That's fine. So this is a very important document right here, because Hamilton Brown, who's clearly a slave owner, he clearly was a sugar cane plantation owner. And the name of a town that still exists in Jamaica was named after him. So we have here a woman by the name of Mary Movinia Brown. Mary Movinia Brown was the East Indian housekeeper who became the wife of Hamilton Brown. Okay, Jr. Are you with me? Which is Hamilton Brown Sr.'s son. And if you look right here, it clearly says Mary Mulvaney Brown, wife of Hamilton Brown, is listed as white or listed as white. Okay. And the reason why, and we'll get into the connection with Kamala Diva Harris's birth certificate and how her mother is classified as Caucasian. Well, the reason why this woman, Mary Mulvaney, is classified as white, along with Kamala Diva Harris's mother is classified as Caucasian, because many because when you come over into the Western Hemisphere, the United States, East Indians are considered Asian or so-called Caucasoid or Caucas Asians. Okay, so when you see also the Brahmanistic caste system, it was infiltrated by British imperialism. So when the British came and invaded, they changed the concept of the ancient Sanskrit word Aryan, which meant noble one or one of nobility, and they changed it and gave it an edge of racism and said that all those that were Aryan, they were Caucasoid or Caucasian. But in fact, the original Aryans were black. And also, there was never an Aryan race invasion that took place 1900 BCE in the Indus Valley and pushing as far as Mesopotamia and Canaan and even Egypt or Kemet. That's false. That was created in 1856 by a man named Max Muller. He is the one that came up with the Aryan invasion myth or theory. The true Aryans were dark-skinned people. And when I say black, I'm not speaking now geopolitically. I'm speaking in the sense where people understand in their psyche as being dark-skinned people with woolly hair and wavy hair. So they would be considered so-called quote-unquote black. And later it took a racial overtone by the way of imperialism. And this was even enforced by people that was influenced by the British, such as Gandhi and others. So we have here again about Mary Mulvaney Brown. She is classified as white. She was the East India housekeeper that Judge Joe Brown was talking about. As a matter of fact, could you real fast keep your finger here because we're going to come back here. There's a link that I sent you. I will send it to you again. It's just a clipping of me talking directly to Judge Joe Brown, asking him a question because here it is for you again, my sister. Let me get that over to you. No. Okay, I just sent it to you. Um, are you there, sister? Are you there, DJ Genesis? We have to wait for DJ Genesis. And so we have here Mary Mulvaney Brown. I think she's going to it right there. And you see where I told you where to start. You still have the image.
Barbie goes. Barbie, wait,
I don't want nobody just screaming out until I call on you. You just got here.
Okay, I need you to remove the image, the PowerPoint image of Mary Mulvaney Brown's baptism registry. We can't see the screen. Okay, now press play. Press play. I want to show y'all something.
No, I ain't talking to you, Judge. Not you, Judge. I'm talking to the panel. Prince, go ahead, brother. You got it, Prince Charlotte Dean.
Wow. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh. I want to congratulate both the participants. I listened very attentively. Jabari brought forth a nice presentation, and so did Judge Joe Brown. I am in the opinion that Judge Joe Brown won. When he first came on, right, he was saying that he was the source. And I understood that crystal clear when you read Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7, which reads, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. So I'm on here and I was like, on the back of the Judge Joe Brown versus Jabari debate. And I said that Judge Joe Brown won because he was a direct eyewitness and he talked directly to Donald Jasher Harris, just like earlier today, Candace Owens talked directly to Donald Jasher Harris's brother. So now she becomes a witness, an eyewitness by direct relatives. Judge Joe Brown talked directly to Donald Jasser Harris, which is Kamala Diva Harris's father, and watch what he say out of his own mouth about his ethnic background. Proceed on the unmuted. Let's hear it. Generations, ask our Father that he may show thee, thy elders that they may tell thee. So not only is Judge Joe Brown a judge, he's also an elder. And he was the source because he was there. He was an eyewitness of many of these things, right? One of the things I want to tackle on is the background, the genealogical background of this woman. Because, Jabari, you showed a couple of pictures that you showed Edith, not Edith, Harris, and you show Burr, but you're not telling us about the background of these people. Now we know on the mother side, there's no question of the mother side that she's stop. And see, and that's the point. When Jabari, and shout out to Professor Jabari, I love his scholarship. He's definitely a top-notch scholar. You cannot take that away from him. But in this episode right here, he was wrong. He was dead wrong. And the reason why I'm saying that, because sometimes our people tend to look at color, right? They tend to look at color and they don't, go deep and beneath the surface. And he just showed some women of color. So he assumed they were Black or African, as he would label it. They were African. But he didn't go deep to understand that there were relatives on Donald Jasser Harris's side that were East Indian. And that was, or have East India in them, and they were East Indian. And that was two people, Mary Movinia Brown, which is the mother of Christinia. Mary Movinia was East India. Press play. East Indian. The father side is being questioned. I'm saying that the father side is Irish and East Indian. When you look at Hamilton Brown II, he was a plantation owner in Brownstown, Jamaica. They named that town after Hamilton Brown. That is on the maternal side of the father's side of Kamala Harris, which is Donald Jasser Harris. When you look at the paternal line of Donald Jasser Harris, the paternal line goes back to a man by Joseph Alexander Harris. He was an Irish migrant. Joseph Alexander Harris has a child with Chrissy. Chrissy is half East Indian and half Irish. The picture that you showed of Chrissy, she's half Irish and half East Indian. And I got the sources up here in Nepal. I sent it to Nepal. She can go right on my Facebook page, and I got the whole chronological breakdown. They have Oscar Joseph Harris.
All right, you got to ask a question. You got to ask a question, the mighty Hebrew. It's not a time for all lecture, brother. That's what I'm saying. I've been up here for a while.
So it's like I put up a PowerPoint. I did a PowerPoint presentation. It was took down. I don't know why it was took down, but it was took down. And maybe YouTube or somebody took it down. That could be possible. I don't know. From what I was told, YouTube took it down. And my thing is, every time I get into this, because I was sitting on there for like 2 hours, just quiet, just waiting. So now I'm about to ask Judge Joe Brown two direct questions, and watch what you say. Press play. Here it comes. Because my whole thing is there was a lot of propaganda tonight, and all I'm saying is one of the first things that Jabari put out there is
You have
trying to show an image
on.
of these women.
Mighty Hebrew, you got to ask a question, brother. Ask a question.
Okay, I asked a question. They're not gonna let me do. Okay, they're not gonna let me do this. I'm gonna have to come back and do a separate show.
Whole lecture right now, brother. I know how you get to that.
If I could respond, just say that.
We saw
I'm gonna
about
say
source
this.
up.
If I could,
But let me ask a question.
All right, hold on. All right, let him ask the question, Jabari, and then you can
I'm
respond.
letting him ask the question. I'm letting him be quiet for a moment.
Okay. This is the Judge Joe Brown. Give a shout out to Judge Joe Brown. You beat Jabari's my brother. I love him, but hands down, he lost his debate tonight. So the question that I'm asking you, Judge Joe Brown, is you made a statement that Kamala Diva Harris's father is East Indian and Irish. Could you explain to the people where you got that information from?
Him.
You got that directly from him? Directly from out of his mouth?
Table with him at the Governor General's banquet in Jamaica. My wife at the time was sitting next to him. She was talking to him. He says that grandmother you saw, she's half Irish and she's half East Indian. All right.
Stop.
So
that's a fact. Stop. Oh, I don't find nothing funny. He's a direct eyewitness. That's just like, let's say if DJ Genesis is chilling on Broaden area at Max's Steak, where you get the famous Philly cheesesteaks at in Philly, right? And she see me drive down Broad Street in a green Lexus, a green 2024 Lexus. She's an eyewitness, a direct eyewitness of me driving down Broad Street at, let's say, 10 o'clock in the morning. She's an eyewitness. But somebody else is saying I'm somewhere else. But DJ Genesis, along with the cameras around me and myself, we're eyewitnesses. She becomes an eyewitness because she clearly sees me. Correct, DJ Genesis? Correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
You become an eyewitness. So
Right.
if Judge Joe Brown talked directly to her, Kamala Diva Harris's father, now Judge Joe Brown becomes a witness. Now, you got to look at this. Judge Joe Brown is a judge, sworn in, made oaths. Y'all want us to actually believe that this man, this judge, is going to openly say these things. This is, if it was a lie, wouldn't that be defamation of character? Wouldn't the powers that be, that are judges, his peers, his sovereign peers as a judge, wouldn't they come up against him? Nobody's coming up against this man because he's telling the truth. Press play.
She looks
Please
dark.
don't control the board. I tell you this over and over.
But Judge Brown is talking.
You just got through running that down. You told us, but you were making a statement rather than asking a question. But that's just what he said. One, that grandmother of his, who would be a great grandmother of Kamala Imhoff, that woman is half East Indian, half Irish. And then the other one is Irish. So where do we get the black coming in here? In the mother, there's no question. As you commented, sir, she's all East Indian. So where do we get the black in this? You see,
okay, one more.
Of these East Indians are very dark.
That's a fact.
So people confuse them all the time. There is one woman who looks quite a bit like Kamala Harris, but she's East Indian, and she's, a matter of fact, president of the Indian Screen Actors Guild. So, I mean, it happens.
So that's the first question that I'm asking. One more question. But if you hear him, He said the man told me out of his own mouth that he's Irish and East Indian. That's what he said. He said that Kamala Devi Harris' father, Professor Donald Jasser Harris, and I got to make some slight corrections. Listen, and shout out to Candace Owens, but let me make it clear. Donald Jasser Harris was not a communist, Sister Owens. He was a Marxist, even though they're similar in base and they basically go back to the same source. But I just want to make it clear, he was a Marxist. So what I'm saying, to say what I'm saying, the man clearly said out of his own mouth that the father told him that he's Indian and Irish. Press play. Okay, one more question, Joe Brown. Just one more question.
He gets another question.
I even get to talk long. Y'all been talking for hours.
Go ahead.
So I just want
to ask the question, brother.
I want one more question to you, Judge Joe Brown. Now, on the maternal side of Donald Jasser Harris, one of the factors is a woman by the name of Burr, which is Oscar Joseph Harris's wife that gave birth to Donald Harris, and in turn Kamala and Maya. My question to you, in the reflections of a Jamaican father, we see out of Donald's own mouth, he talks about his Irish descent. And then he talks about that the maternal side was unknown. The only thing he knew is that Burr herself was half Irish and half unknown. Is this correct, Judge Joe Brown?
As far as I am understanding it, yes.
Okay.
All right. Real quick.
Now you can go back to the PowerPoint. So I went to Judge Joe Brown directly. I talked to him directly. I talked to this man directly. So like I said, we got the Baptist. Okay, that's fine. You can go right there. That's perfect. So here go Christina Brown. This is the picture that Professor Jabbar Ozazi was using to justify this woman having black in her. No. Christinia's mother is Mary Mulvinia. Mary Mulvinia's baptism records is classifying her as white, but in fact, she was East Indian. She was East Indian and being classified as white. And Hamilton Brown, who was her husband, the second, was an Irish plantation owner with his father, Hamilton Brown Sr. They get together, Hamilton Brown Jr. and Mary Mulvinia, they get together and have this woman right here that we see on the screen. And what does it say underneath? What does it say underneath? It says, according to Kamala Harris' father, Miss Chrissy above was the descendant of Hamilton Brown, who is on record as plantation and slave owner and founder of Brownstown. So this is not something that I'm making up here. This is a fact. We went into the record. We see that Hamilton Brown had over 1,100 slaves. There's no way of getting around this. Our people always looking for somebody to save them, thus save themselves. We brought ourselves into captivity and that's a whole nother story, another topic. But through warfare, we brought ourselves in captivity. We got to bring ourselves up out of this. Next slide. Next slide. So we got right here Christina Brown. Now look at the deception that they play right here on us. And they got her here as black. She was born in 1888 in Jamaica. She made transition or deceased in 1951 at the age of 63 years old. Her parents were Hamilton Brown and Mary Mulvinia Brown. Hamilton Brown was born in 1833 and he died in 1918. Mary Mulvinia was born in 1839 and she died in 1892. and she is the one that married Joseph Alexander Harris, and in turn, and he was born 1874 and he died in 1939. They had a child. Go to the next slide. Oh, no. That's no. That's not the next slide. Let me see. Let me see the order. Yeah, you went too far away. Nuh-uh. You gotta go back. I send them in chronological order.
Yeah, that is so this is 75, 76, 77.
They're the only pictures you got? They're the only pictures you got?
Yeah.
Oh, keep going, keep going. Huh? Keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Because these are the pictures I said. It's fine. We can do it like that. Keep going. It's about to come up. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. A couple more. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. No. No, I'm sorry. Go back. Now go for it. No, stop. Go to the next one. Not before, but after.
The last one was 97, so and that's Janet.
Go. No, go back before that. You already passed it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. How do you got this joint? Keep going. I'm trying to see how he got this joint. All right, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Oh man. Keep going. It's coming. Keep going. Keep going.
That's it. That's it.
No. You passed it. I seen it. When you was keep going. Right there. No, you just had it right there. I don't know why it's out of order like that. Maybe when you got it, it just scrambled out of order. Because sometimes when you send it in the messenger, it'll do that. But here's Oscar Joseph, this is Joseph Alexander Harris. This is the husband of Christina. They are the ones that had Oscar Joseph Harris in 1936. And okay, so it is clear as day. It's clear that thus far the paternal side is all white boys, so to say. East Indian, not East Indian, Irish, and even English, because this man right here, Joseph Alexander Harris, is Irish and also has English in him. He's supposed to have English Jewish descent in him. And then when you go on the maternal side of the father, that's when you get Irish through Hamilton Brown and East Indian through Movinia. And remember, Christinia is East Indian and Irish. And she meets a man that's Irish and Irish and English men. Irish and English name. We got here Joseph Alexander Harris. He was born in 1936. Okay. Go to the next slide. You're going to see Oscar Joseph Harris. Go to the next slide. Yours might keep going because yours might be, keep going. Go to the next slide. You might have to go to the next slide. Yeah. I seen him too, but for some reason, it's a little off, but keep going. It's fine. Because some reason it's like kind of like out of whack. Keep going. He about to come up. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, that's the finish. I don't know how this joint get out of whack like this. All right. Keep going. Keep going. You know what? No worries. I know how I'm gonna do it. I know how I'm gonna do it. Every time I want you to do something, I'm just gonna slide it to you. So look, this is the next person. Here you go. You see it in your inbox? You see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna do them three at a time. That's how I do it. Bang. So all right, put that first picture up I just sent you right there. So right here we have Oscar Joseph Harris. Oscar Joseph Harris marries, well, he doesn't marry her. Um, and we're getting to that. There was a woman by the name of Burr Finnegan. Okay. And from what Candace Owens was told by Donald Jasper Harris's brother today, that Donald Jasper Harris and two other siblings had a different mother than them. You have a woman by the name of Cambridge who also had the name Iris as well. We're going to show her, and she is the mother of other children that Joseph Harris had with her. She was a white woman. We're going to get into all that, who eventually moved to Florida and made transition in 2019. Go to the next slide. So right here, no, go to the next slide after that. And you're gonna, yes, right there. So this is the book right here called The Truth We Hope by Kamala Harris, An American Journey. So Kamala Devi Harris talks about her life in this book. And inside the book, she gets into, how her mother was a part of the civil rights movement, and even to the point of the Black Power movement, and she was frequently making visits from California to Harlem, New York, okay, roughly around 67-ish. 68, around there. Okay. So it's in that area, somewhere around there. And this book, it had a lot of deception. There was a lot of deception in this book. One of the deceptions that we see is, her saying different Black people like Uncle Freddie and all them was her uncle, et cetera, et cetera. But as when you read the book, you'll find out they weren't blood related to her at all. She admits that these were this, which she would consider her godparents. They were friends of her mother. And what we see going on in this book right here is this imagery of trying to get the Black vote. Okay. So you know how these politicians, they come together and they get people that know how to promote you. So one thing that Kamala needed to exploit was her melanin and her skin to get Black people to feel as though not only are they voting for a Black president of their own, but also the first female foundational Black American / African American. This is why you have Megan Thee Stallion say out of her mouth, the first African American woman to be president. See, this is in the mind of the people. So go to the next slide, the one that I told. Yeah. Now this is inside of her book. She's saying inside of her book um that oh, excuse me, real second, DJ Genesis, can you speak for a second? I have to use the bathroom real fast. Could you do that real quick? Can I run real fast and come right back?
Yeah,
Are you
sure.
there?
I'm
Thank
here.
you, thank you. Just give some feedback to the people real quick on what I was speaking about. I'll be right there.
So I'm gonna play a little bit of what Candace Owens had to say because I think it was very interesting. She said that she spoke to her uncle. So let's get into it.
Turkey in them?
Bacon.
Nice.
I do bacon. Garlic. I put white vinegar. Yes. I do. So I start with, I slice up my garlic. But no, first I chop up the bacon and get all that fat going. Then I put garlic, some chili peppers, and then a lot of water and a little chicken stock. And I let it go for a while before I put the greens in. And then, right, so you get that going and all that flavor. And then I put the greens in for a couple hours. Then I do vinegar. And then I cheat and do a little Tabasco.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, but Tabasco of all, like I like Louisiana hot sauce, but Tabasco has that right amount of vinegar. Yeah. And so that's how I do my greens.
I see why you get invited every year.
And she brought it up again at another event. Take a listen.
Hey, Marlon, so I know how to make a mean pot of greens. In fact, people used to ask me to make greens for them for Christmas. One year, I had so many that I had to wash that we ended up washing them in the bathtub. So I am not playing around.
Black America, listen to me. I'm speaking directly to you because I am not playing around either. If I catch you voting for this woman, I'm going to haunt you. I'm going to haunt you in your dreams. There will be nowhere that you can go where I will not haunt you. This is just, we have to come together. At some point in society, we have to come together to declare this unacceptable. Like, I don't care where you sit on the spectrum. This is the most not okay thing that I have ever seen in the history of politics.
Wow. You see, and that's the thing that I'm saying to the family. Like, the promoters, they projected this image, so to say, of what Black people are about, making collard greens inside of a bathtub, on platforms where she got bottles of hot sauce, changing her accent, lying, saying that she was listening to Tupac and Snoop Doggy Dogg while in college smoking herb or marijuana, and then people trying to cut that to try to make it seem like it was two different comments when it wasn't. If you listen to the whole context of the whole conversation, it was all on the same topic, that she was in college. We know that Pac came out with his first album, To Apocalypse, in 1991, and Snoop Dogg came out with his first album, Doggy Style, in 1993. So we know that this woman is a straight liar. There's no getting around it. This woman continuously lies, and she's using identity politics, from which Donald Jasser Harris, or correctly, Professor Donald Jasser Harris, said out of his own mouth, it is an insult on the name of the family and dealing with the marijuana smoking and the identity politics. They do not want their family to be associated with that at all. This is what Kamala Devi Harris's own father said out of his own mouth at Global Jamaica. You can go to the .com and look it up, and you type in Donald Jasser Harris, and you will see that he said that out of his mouth. So this is not a thing that I'm making up. This is things that were said directly from out of this man's mouth. Put back up the PowerPoint, because I'm just making things clear. So she right here talks about this woman being her paternal grandmother burned in Jamaica, and that right there is a major problem. And the reason why it's a problem, because the real Burr Finnegan, and I'm about to send that to you right now. I'm gonna need you to skip over what I just sent you and just go to this piece real fast, so the people can literally see that Burr Finnegan passed away at the age of between 38 and 39 years old in 1960. And here's the proof right here, my sister. Could you go inside your inbox and you will see the death certificate? It's coming to you. Do you see it? Keep going, because I just sent you the death certificate. Keep going. You can keep going, because I'm gonna have you come back to that. Keep going. Do you see the death certificate I just sent to you?
I don't see it. I just
Are
see the
you there?
picture of. I just see the picture of the grandma, Miss Finnegan,
Hold on, you don't.
Cambridge.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I got it. Just hold on 1 second.
Okay, good. And while she's doing that, you see an image right here of Patrick Finnegan. He was born the 9th of January, 1882 in Alexander, St. Anne, Jamaica, as the son of Patrick Finnegan and Mary Watson. Patrick Finnegan was born in Ireland, okay? And we clearly see that this Patrick Finnegan married Ora Iris Allen. And they in turn give birth to Burr. So the woman that she's in this picture with in her book, we're trying to figure out who is this woman right here. That woman is not a mulatto. You don't see no mulatto overtones with this woman at all. You don't see it. So the question is, who is this? Who is this woman? You see how we show in the background. Now go to the death certificate. Here's the death certificate right there, highlighted in yellow. We see highlighted in yellow right there that this woman, okay, died. Died in July the 16th, 1960. So if that's the case, who is Kamala Harris in that picture with? Who is she in that picture with, looking like it's the 90s? You see? Who is that? Okay? That makes no sense. We trying to figure out ourselves who is that woman. Okay? That woman is not the original Burr Finnegan that died in 1960. Remember, Donald Jasser Harris said the identity of these people are unknown. And I'm gonna get into some reasons why I think that. Okay. Now go to the next slide. Watch this. So you got here. Go to the next one before that. Go before that one. Right there. So we got Patrick Finnegan. He was born in 1843. He died in 1898. We dealing with the FamilySearch.org. Patrick Finnegan was born in 1843 in Ireland. He had at least one son and one daughter with Mary Watson. He died on September the 1st, 1898 in St. Anne, Jamaica. Okay, go to the next slide. Watch this. So No, the one before that. Yeah, right there. So this is his son, Patrick Ahananis Finnegan, 1882 to 1928, right? And this is found at grave.com, the memorial, where you can see the memorial graves. Okay, and you seen I got this information July the 21st, 2000 and 2024. So you know that this is new and updated. Okay, and he is the son of the original Patrick Finnegan and Mary Watson. Next slide.
I also want to make the statement that Alhanasus sounds like a Indian. That's I don't what name is that? Alhanasus. That's an interesting middle name right there.
So Alhanasus, I looked it up. you know when Ireland used to be known as Harberia, right? So and which you get you get Harberia, and it's of Iberian origin. Okay, it's of Iberian origin, which are the original people of Ireland. So go, yeah, because I was looking at that name, I was like very interested. You can look it up. That's what you should do. As a matter of fact, you should type in that name and then show the people. Right? Go to the next slide.
All right, which one will be the next one? That would be.
It's going to be right there. Yup. And as we can see right here, see, one thing about me, I'm dealing with straight cold facts. I ain't dealing with no theories. Okay. So Patrick Finnegan was born, like I said, the 9th of January, 1882. And he is the son of Patrick Finnegan and Mary Watson. All this Irish blood, and y'all keep saying this woman, excuse me, that Donald Joshua Harris is black. Go to the next slide. You're gonna see Iris Cambridge, a European woman, right there. So we see right here this woman. She's a very, very interesting woman, I must say. Now, why do I say that? I say it for reasons that there's a connection with these people or the Cambridges with the Harrises. I'm going to show that. I'm going to show that there is an interconnection with these people. So this is not something that I'm making up. This is something that can be validated, something that can be substantiated, something that can be proven. Okay, go to the next slide. Now here it is right here. Now this is a picture of her. She was actually the wife. She was the wife of Oscar Joseph Harris. We don't have any records at all of him marrying Burr Finnegan. We just don't. I looked everywhere, even Candace Owens and a couple more people, Laura Alba, different people, they looked this information up and they can't find this information anywhere. But we know for a fact because we got the marriage certificate of this woman being married to Oscar Joseph Harris, who in fact is an Irish man of, which would now be considered an Irish man of color, and the color is coming by the East Indian blood through Mulvinia or Mary Mulvinia Brown and Christinia, okay, her daughter, okay? But this woman right here had children with Oscar Joseph Harris after Burr Finnegan. Remember, Burr Finnegan's father was Patrick Finnegan, who we know is Irish. Now, the mother, which is Iris Allen, who took the marriage name Finnegan, her ethnic background is unknown. That's what Donald Joshua Harris said. So we don't know. We don't know her ethnic background. We don't know nothing. But what we do know What we do know is that we don't see thus far no African in the sense of foundational Black Americans. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. Because, and this is an interesting picture. This is a picture, I mean, it's public record. It's public. So you have Harris's and you have Cambridge's in Florida. You see what I'm saying? So these people or the Harris family knows who this woman is because that's peep the twist like Oliver. That woman was married to Oscar Joseph Harris, and Oscar Joseph Harris all the way to his death, in 1976 is when he died. She wound up remarrying, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, either 1991 or 1997. I believe it was 1991. And she moved to Florida. She moved to Florida from Jamaica, and then she made transition. She passed away in 2019. Next slide. Next slide. So we have a picture right here. We have a picture of Hamilton Brown, which is the maternal side. Then you have Joseph Alexander Harris. Well, Hamilton Brown is Irish. Joseph, go back. Go. I'm sorry. No, you're right. You're right. You're at the right spot. Don't move. So you got Hamilton Brown, who is Irish. He was a slave plantation owner. Then you got Joseph Alexander Harris, who is Irish and English. He was an Irish English migrant. And then you have right here Oscar Joseph Harris, who's Irish and East Indian, and he marries this woman right here, Cambridge, who also takes the name Iris. Are you with me? Are you there, DJ Genesis? You can keep that right there and blow that up. Bring that up forward so the people can see. Bring it forward. Like blow it up so people can see the before and after. We have the before and after right here of Donald Joseph Harris. Excuse me, Donald Joshua Harris. The before, it clearly says that of Indian Jamaican heritage. Then they turned it around, and give a shout out to Afro Elite who put this piece together, this image. And then you have the after, right, of Afro-Jamaican and Irish-Jamaican heritage. You see what they did? You see what they did? So they letting you know his ethnic background is Irish and East Indian, but he's Jamaican by the way of citizenship. Somebody's at my door, DJ Genesis. Take it, show a few more clippings. I'll be right back.
So Donald J. Harris's parents were Oscar Joseph Harris and Beryl Christie Harris. They're saying he's a Jamaican American. And then when you look at the actual family tree, this is the family tree. I'm not sure where this Beryl Flanagan person comes into play. Maternal line, father's bloodline. I'm kind of this whole thing is interesting to me. I don't know. It's getting more creepier by the moment. Let's give.
Much I liked this guy. I just had a feel like, okay, I'll be honest. I have a Caribbean bias. My former producer made it very clear to me that I have a Caribbean bias because she'd pitch me stories or like say like Rihanna did this, and I'd be like, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Rihanna, or like Nicki Minaj, and she's like, but you, I have a Caribbean bias. This guy's got a Caribbean accent. My grandma had a very thick St. Tomian accent. So it was just like, I could sense his Caribbean calm. I can't explain to you. And I could just also sense that he was being incredibly honest and forthright. And he was speaking to me. And it was actually like very, I guess I would say just beautiful in a way, because he cared about this. He wanted to reach out because he cares so much about Vioris, you know. And
this is Candace Owens on talking to Kamala's uncle.
He doesn't want whatever is going on with Kamala to make people have this perception of Vioris. And I told him right away that it was never my intention for him to get inundated. So I want to be clear. My understanding is that it's the press calling, but I want to make sure that there are no Candace Owens viewers that are going out there calling any of these relatives that are still alive, because we can find information online, but we definitely should not be harassing her relatives who have nothing to do with her running, and in many cases don't even agree with her politics. Like this person that I spoke to is a Candace Owens fan, conservative, as many Caribbeans are conservative, because like, you know, on the islands that it's just not a lot of wokeness. I'll leave it at that. You know, why are you gay? Kind of you are gay. It's a little bit more of like an island vibe. Anyways, I just said to him, look, we're just trying to get Kamala's heritage because of her father's paper. I said, I have a lot of questions about your brother, Donald Harris. I just am not understanding anything in this paper. And I went through the holes in it. I went through the fact that, you know, he mentions this person growing up.
Yeah. So she said right here in this presentation that she talked directly to Kamala Harris's uncle. You know what I'm saying? And he don't have no knowledge of no bird. He don't. The man said it out of his own mouth. He don't have no knowledge of that. So if he don't have no knowledge, how you got the knowledge? That's the whole thing we saying. So thus far, this is what we have, family. Before we continue, let's do this chronologically. So you got Donald Jasser Harris. On his maternal side, you get Hamilton Brown Jr. Hamilton Brown Jr., and I'm glad you put this up right here. That's very important that you put that up. Matter of fact, let me go to that real quick so I can look directly at it. So you have Hamilton Brown. Hamilton Brown has a child with an East Indian woman. The East Indian woman name is Mary Movinia. He has Christina Brown. Christina Brown then gets with Joseph Harris. Okay. And when you look at Joseph Alexander Harris, he is the father of Oscar Joseph Harris, or Joseph Alexander Harris, excuse me. Joseph Alexander Harris is the father of Oscar Joseph Harris with Chrissy Movinia Brown, who her father is Hamilton Brown. Oscar Joseph Harris meets a woman by the name of Burr Finnegan. They're using that same picture. The problem is that has already been proven to be a forgery, because we know that the Finnegan line that she go back to is, by the way, of Patrick Finnegan, who was born in Ireland. He was born in Ireland. Okay? He was born in Ireland, and them people came over by the way of being migrants. Okay? So and the reason why I'm saying she don't look even mulatto is because we don't know the ethnic background of Iris Allen, who wind up marrying Patrick Finnegan. Her Iris Brown and Patrick Finnegan gives birth to Burr Finnegan. That's not that woman right there. And remember, the Burr Finnegan that Oscar Joseph Harris was with died July the 16th, 1960, 4 years before Kamala was born. So Oscar Joseph Harris, who in fact is East Indian, well, he's Irish with East Indian blood, because the dominant factor in his record is straight Irish. He got the Irish grandfather. He got the Irish father, right? He got he got the Irish grandfather on his mother's side. His mother is Irish and East Indian. And then his father, Joseph Alexander Harris, is all Irish. So that man, Oscar Joseph Harris, is Irish. Look at his facial structure. Look at his structure, right? So because of the East Indian blood in him, I'm going to say Oscar Joseph Harris became an Irish man of color with East Indian blood. Okay? He wound up getting with a woman by the name of Burr Finnegan Allen, actually, because the mother is Irish Allen. Her ethnic background was unknown, but the husband's background of Irish wasn't unknown. He was Irish. That was Patrick Finnegan. They gave birth to Burr Finnegan. That image is not that woman, okay? Which in turn, the real Burr Finnegan, who died in 1960, we're going to get into that in a second. Leave that right there. But getting back, you can keep it there. Now, the real Burr Finnegan died in 1960, who Oscar Joseph Harris was with before he got married to the white woman. No, don't change it. Yeah, that woman right there. Yeah, that's a fake image. And Oscar Joseph Harris and the real Burr gave birth to Donald Joseph. Look at Burr and look at Donald Joseph Harris. He don't look nothing like that woman Burr. Come on, man. Come on, man. That we can prove that is not his mother, that image. That woman right there, from where people say that know that woman, that emailed and made comments on Candace Owens, they said that was the Hulk. In the sense of, she worked there for so many years, her and her mother. A lot of people, even to this day down south, that work on these plantations, their servitude with these masses go down from generation to generation, and they still serving these families to this day. We talking facts. Didn't they make a movie, DJ Genesis Detroit, called The Hulk? Didn't they? Remember that movie? You remember that movie? If you remember that movie, I don't know if you're still there or not, But if you remember that movie, you could tell that these jobs for these whiteys from down south, they were passed on from those that were on the plantation, and even when slavery was over, they were still working for these people.
Right. I'm
That's what
sorry.
was.
Yeah, I had to separate real quick. The movie The Hulk. You meant the
Say the
Incredible
what?
Hulk? What movie are you talking
No,
about?
no, I'm talking about the movie The Hulk.
The Help. Oh, The Help. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yep.
Right? You
So you're
know
saying that this is
that,
probably like a servant that she took a picture with and just
yeah,
said that was Beryl Finnegan, even though because she knew that that person had passed away and that there'd be no record to be able to find out who the real Beryl Finnegan was. So she'd be able to like use this person and say that this was her.
facts.
Mm.
Facts. That's exactly what I'm saying. Go to the next slide. The next, yup. Now you see this genealogical record right here. We talking facts now, right? So now we dealing with Kamala Diva Harris's people. You see her mother, okay? And her mother supposed to have been an activist, okay? And her father was an Indian civil servant. So let me tell y'all something. The background of Kamala Diva Harris's mother, they're prestigious, aristocratic group of people of Southern Tamil in the Indian subcontinent, and within the caste system or the Brahmanistic caste system that they under, they're defined as Aryans. And during this time, Britain already, by the way of imperialism, already infiltrated the original Brahmanistic caste system from a culture, social understanding to now a racist agenda. Because the Brahmin, when you're dealing with the Aryan, which meant nobility, noble, it was dealing with the upper class, but originally it was one that was notable or dealt with nobility and brotherhood in the sense of, righteousness and knowledge. Then it became defining class. And then after class, then it took on racial overtones through the British imperialism. And this is what you're seeing here with the caste system here that Kamala Diva Harris's mother was dealing with. So you see Kamala Diva Harris, right? The father, the mother. Then you see the three sisters, and then one sister drops. That's Shamala, which is Kamala Diva Harris's mother, and then you see Donald Harris. Them two get together and give birth in 1964, Kamala Diva Harris, 1967, Maya Harris. And then on the left-hand side, where you see Kamala, you see her go to who? You see her go to a small hat. Come on. Facts. Now, you got cryptic understanding of certain families with the small hats, and you have those known as hidden, who are hidden. So when you go into Kamala Diva Harris's, you go into Joseph Alexander Harris, he's Irish, but he's also English. But that English side are English Jews. And them English Jews go back to the first, and they were known, so y'all know, Joseph Bruno. That on that side, they are Brunos, and them Brunos were some of the oldest Masons, amongst they were Masons, and they were part of the oldest, Masonic order, which is the English Masonic order. These are facts, man. These are facts. So there's already this quote unquote Hindu small hat connection. And as she got right here, an image of Kamala. So let's break this down in the yellow highlighted I got. And her name is Kamala Devi Harris. And it has that she's an American politician and lawyer who has served as the junior United States Senator from California since 2017. Okay. And when you look, it says Kali. Now you got to really hear this, y'all, because I'm going to break down this symbolic understanding of her destiny, so to say, even being defined within her name. See, y'all don't know what y'all really playing with here. Y'all think, oh, we're just voting somebody in, but this is more spiritually deeper than what you think. You're actually voting in one who's going to play a role within the destruction of 2/3 of our people. Even if you pick Donald Trump, same outcome. Y'all ain't talking nothing about no Carnell West. We gonna show Carnell West a little later. Why y'all ain't bringing him up? But it says Kali is a Hindu goddess or a Devi, okay, or diva of death. Now you gotta hear this. Now she is one who is deeply rooted into the destruction of genders and the destruction and death of children. But she openly plays this mother caring figure, but she don't have no biological children of her own. Peep the twist like Oliver, peep it, of death. So she's the first presidential candidate to go to an abortion clinic, okay? And she's with, abortion. And I'm not saying you don't have certain circumstances when abortion is necessary. Like if a sister gets violated, you know what I'm saying? Or something happened, or some incest, or something of that nature happens, then that's a totally different story. But when it comes to just volunteer, and then from there, the child is mature enough, it's a problem. So this diva is of death, time, and doomsday. See, y'all got to hear this. And doomsday. And we already at the break of World War III. And we know that doomsday was understood to come in December 31st, 1999. That's why they had that whole Y2K scare. That's why they created a new counterintelligence program called Project Megiddo. Megiddo is the Hebrew word for Armageddon. And inside that act, they got the Hebrew Israelites in that act talking about we have the potential to manifest domestic violence. So you have this big Y2K scare. You got Imran that crashed, the CEO of Imran, blow his brains out. You got the World Trade 9/11 2021, the crashing of the destruction of the World Trade, the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, which was created and constructed as an ideal replica of Rome's Romulus and Remus. Okay? This was the fall of the Western world, the beginning of the fall of them on a spiritual level. That's why you started to see the moral decline of America as America started to be caved in more socially with deviancy. This is what born your P. Diddy's. and these freak-offs and all this craziness. The Jerry Springers, the Ricky Lakes, the Montel, you're not the father crap. The bringing the alphabet people in the mix. All these things was brewing to born this woman to us, Kamala Devi Harris. Kali is the Hindu goddess or diva or Devi of death, time, and doomsday, and is often associated with sexuality and violence, but is also considered a strong mother figure and symbolic of motherly love. Stop. The personification of this motherly figure. She adopts these two small hats, right? And then, you know, it talks about she's associated with sexuality. And when you start to look at the background of this woman, as she's rising geopolitically, she laying up, this is public. She's laying up with Willie Brown, Montel Williams, and a host of others, okay? To get to the top. And we know who Willie Brown was in the geopolitical power. So she's with one that's influenced geopolitically, and then you got another that's in the entertainment business. So now you can play the chameleon, right? And then we already know the background of her husband because he was married and went out of that relationship and had children on her behind her back and all kinds of stuff. So these people are not even, they're not even moral people. Remember, her name aligns with violence and sexuality and doomsday. And also that sexuality can also be in line with her total agreement with the alphabet. Okay? She ain't giving a nigga nothing. And I mean you foundational Black Americans. Okay? She's not giving you anything. Facts. We're talking facts. We're not talking myth. We're not talking fantasy. We're not talking hearsay. Okay? We are talking strictly facts. And facts is what makes the difference. And that's where I was showing my brother. I was showing my brother with all the love that I have for him, Reggie, Brother Reggie, Dr. Reggie, Professor Jabari. This woman is not who you think she is. She's not. We have the information. We have the facts. And I know you got dark-skinned people in India, and we're going to examine that briefly too with a couple of screenshots, okay, through this PowerPoint of the people that Jabari tried to refer to, okay, tried to refer to that, but no, we can't refer to that. And I'm going to be talking about. Go to the next slide. So we got this birth certificate. We got the birth certificate, okay? And what do we see with this birth certificate? Because it's very critical and crucial to understand what we're looking at. When you go into, you know, this birth certificate, it defines the mother as being Hindu, religion Hindu. This is the Kamala Devi Harris's birth certificate. And her mother is classified as Caucasian. You see that? As Caucasian. Now, or when it says race, it says Caucasian. Now, when you look at Kamala Diva Harris's father, where it says nationality, it's blank. Religion, it's blank. But when it get to race, they made a mistake and they put Jamaican there. Jamaican is not a race. Jamaican is a nationality. It's not a race nor ethnic background. It's a nationality, meaning being a part of a state. If we talking geopolitically, or by way of the country Jamaica. So you're going to have Chinese people that's born in Jamaica, they're going to be considered Jamaicans. East Indians that are born in Jamaica are considered Jamaican. You have different ethnic groups that were born in Jamaica and they're considered Jamaican. Now, there are two different types of nationality. The original nationality is determined through the seed of your forefathers. We're not talking about that nationality, which in ancient times that would be considered your ethnic background. But we're talking about nationality that's tied to a piece of soil by the way of demarcation stations. So we're talking Jamaican as a nationality by the way of citizenship. So yes, Donald Jasser Harris is Jamaican by citizenship, but his ethnic background is Irish and East Indian. These are some of the East Indians that are known as the Sadis. The Sadis people are originally from East Africa. They are part of the northern kingdom of ancient Israel, okay? And during the sub-Saharan or the East African slave trade, many of these Bantu speaking tribes got caught up in the sub-Saharan or East African slave trade, and they were sent over to the Indus Valley, East Uzbekistan, even as far as Japan. We know this to be a fact, okay? So you see in the green, the Bantu speaking tribes. And then you got the Cushitic, and then you got the Nordic tribes. I'm over here in Africa, so these things exist. The Bantu speaking tribes hold DNA known as E1B1A M2. The women are L2 and L3, okay? And what I'm saying to the family, that we have to understand who we are as a people. We can no longer run around and make these claims that this woman is black when in fact she's not. Okay? She's just not. Okay? And I've told people that time after time after time after time after time, over and over, and people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm the crazy one. What I'm talking about. I'm running around here saying things that I have no knowledge of what I'm talking about.
So
and
here's
what
the
I'm
question:
saying,
if she's from
yeah,
like that West Indian, what'd you say, the South India? What part of India?
she's in Tamil.
All right, so if she's part of
Tamil.
that part of India, Tamil India, and the Africans migrated up to India and created and merged with whatever that was up there. Wouldn't there be like some drop of a sub-Saharan or some part of Africa in India? Is that the reason why some of them have the skin that they and all the things that they look like? Because I mean, what would you say? Because I mean, it might be she might. I mean, when we think about like the whole Pangea thing, the fact that we did have black people all around the world, you know, wouldn't she like by some degree be considered, if she is Indian, to be have
Right.
some black in her because of the Indian aspect of it? Like maybe she
Well,
might be one of those Indians that feel like that she's black.
right. Well, the original people of India were black before, in the sense of skin color, before those that came from East Africa, which we know as the East African slave trade. They were already black in that sense. Now, if you're asking me did these Sagas people go into southern India where the Tamils are at? Sure, they did. But one thing that one has to really understand is they have to understand Hinduism. And when you understand Hinduism, it was a very strict caste system. Those that are known as the Sagas or even the darkest natives of that land, they're known as Dalit. Dalit is a Sanskrit word that goes back to the Hebrew word dal, which means to make thin or to crush. They're also known as the Black Untouchables. So within this caste system in the Indian subcontinent, it was a disdain to even mix with the untouchables. When you look at Kamala Devi Harris's parents, you can clearly see they were what you would call the higher escalade or the bourgeois of those Tamils, or what are being labeled as Tamils, that didn't have anything to do with the original dark-skinned natives, nor the those that came by the way of the East African slave trade. Now, if you're asking me, is there a possibility that she could have any of these bloods in her? Sure. But what we're seeing is what we get. We're seeing in 2024, we see Kamala Devi Harris's people today in India. They're doing interviews and all that. And these people are what you would consider those that came in later, known as Tamils in the Indian subcontinent. They came later. They came from another portion of the greater body of India when it was different then. Some people called it Hindustan. You had different names. Sald, one of the oldest names is Sald, S-I-N-D. You have different names of that nature, Sand. But the point that I'm saying is we can only go by the genealogical record right now. The mother is clearly labeling herself Caucasian on that birth certificate. Why? Because she understood and she knew that she was from a aristocratic family of Aryan caste, okay? Of Aryan caste who identified themselves as the highest nobility, and those that were dark-skinned, no matter if they were aboriginal or indigenous, correctly indigenous to that land, or those that came later by the way of the East African sub-Saharan slave trade. They looked at them as disdain and at the bottom of the barrel, and they were known as Dalit or the Black Untouchables. So in Hinduism, it was so taboo to mix that if you mix, they will kill you. That's why you got some prestigious families right now today that got hits on the top of their heads because the daughter might have been Aryan within the Brahmanistic caste system, and she started messing around with a Dalit, which is known as the Black Untouchables, the underclass, and they might have had a secret child, and they had to run out of India and go into hiding because if they get caught, they get murdered. So that's why it was.
So, maybe I don't know. I'm just thinking about this. Is that when it really comes down to it, if you probably were to do a DNA test, right? You don't think that she would have any sub-Saharan or any kind of African in her DNA?
Everybody on the planet got some form of African in them, if that's what you want to call it. I'm going by what this woman said out of her own mouth. I'm going by the genealogical record. You got white people walking around.
Think about this. Think about this. Dominicans will swear up and down that they're Caucasian. And god dang on well that they were brought over there by the slave trade and admixed with the Spaniards. Now you might be a light-skinned Dominican or you might be a dark-skinned Dominican, but even
some of them, yeah, I understand that argument and all that, but this is
it sounds like the same thing. It sounds like you had because
no, it's not the same. Because if you look at Kamala, let's just look at both sides. It's clear Kamala's father in them is Irish. There's no way of getting around it. You know, the East Indian is only coming through Mary Movinia. And remember, Mary Movinia was married to Hamilton Brown Jr. And he was the Irish.
But you know what? No one has a picture of what Beryl actually looks like. The original Beryl, right? Even though she has this fake Beryl. We don't know whether or not the real Beryl was African looking or not. So, or if she was a darker skin.
But what we do know about Burr is who her father is. We know who her father is, and he was from Ireland. So we know who he was. And when you look up the word Finnegan, that's totally Irish, man.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about this. If her grandmother, she said that this lady last name was Finnegan. So did they like give her the name and change her name from a slave and say that you're now Beryl Finnegan?
Yeah, well, I showed you earlier that Beryl Finnegan's mother's maiden name was Irish Allen. Okay, Allen was her maiden name. When she married Patrick Finnegan, she became Oran Iris Allen Finnegan. They had the child Burr Finnegan. If let's say hypothetical, okay, let's say hypothetical, Iris was an African slave. Let's say she was descendant of African slave. That's even though I beg to differ, but anywho, let's just say if she was, then that means that Burr would be a mulatto. And when you look at Burr, the picture they showing us, she's not a mulatto. She's not a mulatto. So we know that that picture is fake. And we also have on record elderly men and women that contacted Candace Owens through email and making comments saying that they grew up around that plantation where them people still work at, where Iris Finnegan worked until 1981 and she died, which is Burr Finnegan's mother. Remember, Burr Finnegan died 1960. So my whole point is we know that her father was Irish. Now the mother's ethnicity is unknown. Who tells us that? Donald Jasher Harris. Remember, he said that out of his own mouth, and I'm going to read it again to the people so everybody can hear. He says it in the book and in his memoir, The Reflections of a Jamaican Father. My roots go back within my lifetime to my paternal grandmother, Miss Christinia Brown, descendant of Hamilton Brown, who is on record as plantation and slave owner and founder of Brownstown, and to my maternal grandmother, Miss Iris Finnegan, farmer and educator. It says, ancestry unknown to me. So we would be inserting the ethnic background of Iris Finnegan. We don't know. But what we do know is the ethnic background or the ancestry background of Burr Finnegan's father, who is in fact Patrick Finnegan. And if one wants to trace their lineage through the seed of the father in that retrospect, then Burr would be Irish. She would be an Irish woman of color.
Okay.
Straight like that. Straight like that. Like that woman is now again, I will never close the possibility that somewhere in the dim past, Kamala's people in India, may have had sexual relations with somebody from the indigenous populations or even the Sadis, and that's who what's his name? Professor Jabari is trying to push. Show some of them pictures I just sent you. Pull them up because I want the people to see these pictures. real fast. I want them to see the pictures of where it says India's black people. You can start from there. You see it? I sent you some pictures.
Hold on.
Because I want the people to get that imagery, and then I'm going to close out. Because I basically proved my point. I proved my point. We know who okay, go to the beginning though. Go to the beginning. It should say, keep going. No, you gotta go backwards.
That's the only three I have. I don't have anything else.
Keep going. You don't have nothing else?
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm gonna show you. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. But this is a Black history lesson. The Saudi people of India. Uh-huh. Keep going. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You're almost there. Keep going. One more. Right there. So we got the Black Indians. Who are the Black tribes in India? So we not in the, and now if you look, now let me break this down. Now look at this woman right here. You know the darkest people, where it go?
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
I hit the wrong button. My bad.
Okay. The darkest people don't come from Africa. They actually come from out of India. That's number one. Now, when you look at this woman, she like a black purple color. And then you see her hair like straight line. And we know that those in India, you know what I mean, not only do they hold, you know, R1 DNA, some got E1 DNA, right? And then you also got those that got RH, rhesus monkey DNA, which called, that's why you see it in the Neanderthalians. You know what I mean? This is, you know, this is why you see them over there. They'll be real black with wavy hair and even straight hair. So, but then you got also those with woolly hair too. So we had the Black Indians. Go to the next slide. Let's see. I'm gonna show y'all something. So this is a Sardis child right here. And I know Jabari wanted to use the Sardis because he made a reference to try to link that to Kamala. You can't. Yes, you have the original indigenous people that lives in Tamal. You even got the Sardis, but those that label themselves Tamal itself, they're the Aryan of the nobility from which Kamala come from Ada. Okay. Now the Sardis tribe are Israelites that migrate, that didn't migrate, but they were shipped over during the East African slave trade by the Arabs. In the ninth, it started in the 9th century. And they was pushing these Israelites that understood the Israelite culture. And a lot of them was being enforced in Islam. And as they were shooting over, you know, they started to become indoctrinated with Hinduism. And even as far as Japan, those soldiers or these Israelite men moved over even as far as Japan and created what is known as the samurai and ninjutsu, the way of the ninja art. This is why in samurai culture, they said that every samurai, a true samurai, has a drop of black blood in them. This is what they say out of their own mouth. Next slide. And if you want to do any research, I got it here about the Black Samurai. As a matter of fact, hold on for a second, y'all. Let me go get the name of the book because I have that book. But my screen, Genesis, real quick of me, so the people can see me, so they can see the book that I'm showing. It's called African Samurai, the true story of Yasuki, a legendary black warrior of feudal Japan. Here it is right here. This is the book right here. I got the book. It's brand new. I got it, and it came out. Let me give you the date when this came out, because it's 2019. Okay, and it goes into those that were a part of that Sardis tribe, or the Sardis, which they became known as that during the East African slave trade, but they were Israelites of the northern kingdom of Israel that spread throughout East Africa and became known as Bantu. And they started to be shipped over into like Uzbekistan, Japan, China, and a lot of the martial arts developed from these people. You know what I'm saying? Even when we was going to India, we were perfecting certain martial sciences, but that's a different story, a different topic. You can go back to the slides real quick. Yep, you can go back to the slides. We got the black people of India, the Sardis, as you can clearly see. And these are children. And if you notice, don't they look just like so-called Negroes in America? Why? Because they're Bantu. You can tell the difference from us and them, of the Northern tribes and the Kushite tribes of Africa. You can tell the difference. Look, they look like any typical African American walking down the street. Okay? So you're seeing images of the people in India, but these are not Kamala's descendants. They're not. You know what I mean? We can juxtapose and be like, yeah, you know, maybe she got a relative here, there, but that can be any family can say that. You know what I mean? We're going directly into the genealogy. Next slide. Next slide, Sister Genesis, because we're closing out. And as you can see, a lot of our sisters, you know, over there, you see the dress. A lot of them over there are Hindu. That's why even in Tanzania, you see a large population of Tanzanian Hindus. Over in East Africa is a bunch of people from Africa that's Hindu. Do y'all know that? That practice Hinduism. Do y'all know that? Because you got to understand, Dar es Salaam, the name of the major city in Tanzania, was named after a prince from India. Y'all didn't know that that Tanzania was controlled by the East Indians at one time? Y'all didn't know that? Okay.
You know, and you know what? When you talk about the castes, so if you look at like this color versus this color, let's so these are the untouchable kind of people, right? And then you have so they were in a higher caste. So they were admixed with the Caucasian. They were probably initially started off looking like that, but then as a while they admixed, and then those darker skinned people became less the untouchables, and then this is the higher caste system, the lighter skin. However, their original people, their origins, were these people right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what she's trying to connect to by saying that she is black. You know what I'm saying? Because if she comes from that group of people or that side of people, down the lineage of the Indians, you would say that she probably is black, but that would be way down. Because you would mix with Irish so hard.
The problem with
it would be more like the one drop rule type of thing going on, right?
Yeah. And she tried to impose that one drop 1A blood the other day when she was being interviewed. But the problem with that is when Judge Joe Brown talked to Donald Jackson House, he made it clear that he was a Caucasian Hindu. This is what he said, that he was look at his facial structure. He was a Caucasian Hindu, right? And
He
that
looks more like an Ethiopian to me, to be quite honest. He looks Ethiopian. I'm sorry. He does not like a Caucasian, 100% Caucasian man.
And it's fine that you say that, but if you understand, right, even Ethiopians dealing with, not all of them, but some Ethiopians, like in northern Ethiopia, they're also being labeled as Caucasoid. Why? And I'm talking about scientifically. They're being labeled that because a lot of people don't know that Ethiopia was at one time controlled by the Assyrians, by the Persians, the Medo Persians, you know, the Indian subcontinent. A lot of the Eastern Ethiopians migrated west and colonized the areas that you call Ethiopia today. So you're going to see that, but this, even though he got that look, but the reality, I'm speaking on the reality of things. That man's father was Irish. Oscar Jasser Harris. His father was Irish. His mother was Irish and unknown. So even if that unknown, let's say, was a slave, he's predominantly Irish. And remember, that portion is unknown to him. So I only can go by with Donald Jasser Harris, and anything else would be what is known as innovation. I will be innovating or inserting something that I have no knowledge of. I can't do that. Right. There's no rule. I only can go by. That's what make what I'm bringing forth the strongest than anybody on social media right now when talking about this discussion, because I'm dealing with the genealogical record that she won't even deny, because this is our people. This is our people. Yeah.
So what I do want to do, because we're reaching about 2 hours, I do want to talk a little bit about Dr. West. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we've just brushed him underneath the rug, and I really feel like he needs to be discussed. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Cornel West, you know, everybody just wants to just throw him underneath the bus, whatever. Like he's nobody. You know what I'm saying? Oh, now before that, we revered this man. You know what I'm saying? If you talked about Dr. Cornel West, we revered him. But now that he's running for president, he's a nothing burger, and I don't like that, you know? And when you talk about his policy pillars and the things that he's talking about, what he wants to do, you know, he has a clear, you know, he's talking about some things, you know what I'm saying, that are very, you know, that we need to like really look at, you know? I want to play a little bit of his speech that he has out here. I want to play a little bit of it.
Solidarity in the face of catastrophe. Let us march together. Let us fight together. Let us laugh together. Let us dance together. Let us smile together. Let us cry together. We will not allow the organized greed to have the last word. Love supreme or love supreme.
Takes tremendous discipline, takes tremendous courage to think for yourself, to examine yourself. That Socratic imperative of examining yourself requires courage. You know, Wayne Butler Yeats used to say, it takes more courage to examine the dark corners of your own soul than it does for a soldier to fight on the battlefield. Courage to think critically. Courage is the enabling virtue for any philosopher, for any human being, I think, in the end.
People to carry out nonviolent civil disobedience. A couple of dozen people linked arms and were arrested.
Princeton University professor Cornel West was one of 19 people arrested on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court during a protest against money in politics.
Are you denying us access to a public building?
And we here because we want to keep the family center stage.
Whiteness can't be reduced to white supremacy. You got a whole lot of white brothers and sisters fighting against white supremacy. We got a choice between neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden.
Wow.
Well,
I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean?
You almost agreed with me.
No, not at
See,
all.
your solar
Not
plexus
at
winds
all.
towards my direction.
No,
I got to roll.
All right.
You got to come back more often. We miss you.
Democrats feeding the Republicans feeding the Democrats, and yet poor people, working people, finding themselves pushed to the margins. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby.
We have to have people who are in solidarity, who get beyond their petty differences and be able to hold hands symbolically and literally and fight by straightening your backs up.
Powerful, powerful, and that's and you know what, DJ Genesis, you did point something out. I remember at one time Dr. Cornel West was getting much of from the people and accolade and respect and honor and dignity from the people. And then ever since he ran for president, you don't hear a church mouth. Everybody quiet. I was saying that tonight in the comment when Reggie was making this statement. I'm like, what I'm saying is this this man is running for president and nobody ain't saying nothing about it. Everybody's silent. They so worried about two people who don't care about us at all. Least Dr. Cornel West, he a foundational Black American. Why ain't nobody voting for him or talking about voting for him? And if you could, DJ Genesis, could you give us a brief synopsis before we close out on the policies that Dr. Cornel West is bringing to the people? Could you give us an idea with that?
So his policy pillars are for a movement rooted in truth, justice, and love. Black maternal justice, child justice, disability justice, economic justice, education justice, elder justice, environmental justice, gender justice, global justice, gun violence justice, health justice, immigration justice, LGBTQIA justice, racial justice, transformative justice, voter justice, and worker justice. So when he really breaks it down, he really wants to make justice for all people. You know what I'm saying? And so when he's talking about funding, comprehending funding increase, we vow to significantly amplify funding for maternal health initiative tailored to the needs of Black women. This encompasses bolstering the resources of hospitals and clinics, because if you think about this, Black women die more after birth and during births than any other group. You know what I'm saying? In America. Child justice, reform juvenile justice system, uphold children rights and justice systems, prevention and diversion strategies, develop and implement comprehensive diversion measures and alternative to detention, firmly establishing deprivation of liberty as a measure of last resort. So he's talking about the prison, the school to prison pipeline. Disability justice, he's talking about the disabled, when it really comes down to the struggles of those, economic security, champion policies to ensure economic empowerment for people with disabilities, economic justice, try to eradicate poverty is to affirm the divine worth of every individual, abolish homelessness means to embrace our homeless brothers and sisters with the warmth of our concern and strength of our actions, means building a nation where every person has a sanctuary, a home to call their own. I mean, he's talking about another thing, educational justice. Centering in public schools speaks to our conviction that public education is a communal treasure, the bedrock upon which we build an informed, vibrant democracy. Equalizing school funding addresses the egregious moral failing of a system where a child's education is dictated by their zip code. He's talking about some. Please, I'm gonna post this into the chat. Please look at this stuff, because I don't think anyone's even giving him a look at. They're not looking at anything that he's talking about. They haven't even tried to see what he's talking about, but they only want. I don't think even Kamala had her policies up for the longest on her website. He's had it up there the whole time.
Right.
You know, and he's all and he has a very clear like direction in which he wants to go. The problem is that when it really comes to the voter ballot situation, you know, the ballot access aspect of it all, he has had the hardest time trying to get ballot access. So he's only on the ballot. Let me just show you this, because so really what he wants to do is really create awareness. Hey, what's up, Mimi Blaze? He wants to create awareness about the fact that because of his run, he's had the hardest time just even gaining ballot access, being on the ballot, right? So these are the places orange are where he's on the ballot, but in other places he's not. Texas, Arizona, California. So it's almost like that what happens when you have like this stronghold of Republican Democrat, they really make it very difficult for independent candidates to get on the ballot. He did not want to be on the Green Party. He didn't want to be on the other party. He made his own party, his own self. And because he did that, it restricted his ballot access. And you should not have to like be forced to like join a certain group to be able to get on the ballot. But they make it so difficult. Just in Texas alone, when we brought him down here, because I was one of the people that brought him to Texas, we found out that he needed to have 100,000 signatures, and I think a certain $100,000 or whatever, and whatever raised just to be able to get on the ballot in Texas, you know. And that's so it's like anything, and it's like a popularity thing. And when it really comes down to it, in a place like Texas, you're not going to have that many, you know what I'm saying, people that's willing to like, you know, sign that.
You know what the problem is, though, sister? You know what the problem is? Excuse me for cutting you off. That's the whole point. What you're saying. The reason why this man don't have backing, because when you look at, say, for instance, you running for president of the United States, right? I'm a billionaire. And one of my problems is I feel as though that Black people are being ran down by the police. So we're going to have like some Black Police Brutality Act. But the only way that act can be pushed, I would come to you as a billionaire and say, look, I'm going to give you $300,000 in your campaign, and then another 3,000. I give you 300,000 in your campaign, and another 300,000 after you win, which is 600,000. Just push this bill in for me. The reason why
I think they should have a limit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's fair that certain people can like just come into the game with $200 million in money. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like Kamala Harris got some of the funds from Biden, and so she came into the game like someone say running a track. This is like racism. Because let me tell you something. It's almost like you have people running a track meet, and they already have the money, so they get like a head start. And then you have the independents, you know what I'm saying, that are like for like different like things that are actually, you know, trying to, you know, create actually change, and they don't have a leg to stand on. So it's almost like the fact that you have these Dems and Republicans, because they have like this system in place that get a head start already with millions of dollars in their campaigns. But the independents, they have to start from scratch. The only time that we really had an independent candidate that was able to actually like really run and compete was when we had Ross Perot back in the 90s, and he was able to debate. He was able to do a whole bunch of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think also another one was Bernie Sanders. He was able to like, you know, get on a debate ticket, whatever. But when it really comes down to it, it's all about money, you know, et cetera, you know. And let me try to zoom in. Let me try to zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
So you can kind of see some of the global justice. Now this is probably where they don't want him to you know what, my screen, my thing will not let me zoom in. But In the spirit of a prophetic pragmatism and rooted in deep love for humanity, that transcends borders, the Cornel West for President campaign brings forth a vision of global justice that seeks not only to critique the injustices in the current global order, but to courageously reimagine and reconstruct the United States' role in the world. So he's saying, dismantling U.S. imperialism. They don't want to do that. Reducing the military budget. Disbanding NATO, closing military bases abroad. They are, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they would be, if he actually was really to be able to get anywhere close to being elected, it would mean like I don't even think they would know what to do. Gun violence justice. You know what I'm saying? He wants to have a national gun registry database, a gun ownership licensing requirement, limiting sales at gun shows, national red flag law. Now, the other day, Donald Trump said that he thinks that we need to have a day of violence. I think he said, didn't he say that? So we're choosing against the lesser of two evils. Everybody's like, all the conscious people are like, oh, we can just vote Trump. But he said the other day, we just need to have a day of violence. Did you hear that one? Did you hear when he said that? I'm gonna try to find it. Hold on, let me see. All right, hold on, let's see.
Left wants to destroy him, and they want to destroy our country. If you had one day, like one real rough, nasty day with the drugstores, as an example, where when they start walking out with, she created something in San Francisco, $950 you're allowed to steal, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, he's right here, he's a great congressman. Would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please, don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. Let all these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have it's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately.
Come on now. I mean, that sounds like the purge to me. I don't know what anybody else hears. That sounds like the little purge, like a little hour purge, one day. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to we were getting in bed with one. We don't want to get in bed with this one because she might not be black, but then we want to get in bed with the other one who's like really radical when it really comes to, when you really hear what his views are. It's kind of radical. But then you got this person talking about love and unity for all, and no one wants to hear none of that. So I don't know whether it's something wrong with the American people, and their thought process because they are toxic or what, Are you there? Well, anyways, we're at the 2 hour and 13 minute mark. I don't like to go too far along. I thank everybody who has listened to this point. And to close this whole thing out, I just want to make sure that everybody's very thankful. And I just think we should all be thanking everybody. And
every person in our nation has benefited from that work. Everywhere I go, I tell people, look, you may not be a union member, you better thank a union member. For the 5-day work week, you better thank a union member for sick leave, you better thank a union member for paid leave, you better thank a union member for vacation time.
I love to bring that up. I just think it's hilarious. But shouts out, shouts out.
Yeah, it's
And I like how you remember.
You say what?
You better thank a union member.
Oh yeah, you better thank you. Put that fake accent up there like that. But listen, y'all, my internet is running out. I want y'all to see me. My internet is running out, and I do got to get a little sleep. But like the sister is showing, like this woman, she the collard greens. You better thank a union, the Southern accent, but you was born in California, but you was raised in Montreal, Canada, all up there. You wasn't middle class, you was upper class. I mean, like, it is what it is. So that was my point of today, proving that Kamala Devi Harris was in fact and is in fact East Indian Irish. With that, take us out, DJ Genesis.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy. My friend, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright from darkness to light.